Divabetic. It's all about attitude. Hi, Lorraine. You just heard the first part of my discussion with Adam, who's in charge of the Mermaid Parade this year. And it's taking me back to the beach in Coney Island. And I have these fond memories of you performing Beauty on the Beach on several of our past podcasts. So I wanted to go back to the beach with you this year for this podcast. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Max?
I'm great. That poem you wrote for our podcast about Esther Williams was really a milestone for Divabetic because I remember you saying to me at the time, Divabetic's so upbeat, Max. I don't know if you could really be truthful in a way because you always want to put a happy spin on things. And I had told you, no, just I don't do whatever you want. And you wrote this poem. Just tell our audience a little bit, if they haven't heard it, what the themes of that poem were for you.
Thank you for allowing me or encouraging me to write just what I felt and not trying to put a particular spin on it. And that particular poem, yeah, you had asked me to write a poem about going to the beach and being in a bathing suit and how that felt and what one could do to take care of themselves in the summer and that kind of thing. And the more I thought about it, um, the more it occurred to me that I was not comfortable uh, at the beach. I was not comfortable in a bathing suit. I was not comfortable for whatever reason with exposing my body in that way. And so I said to you, I don't think this is going to be a happy poem, Max. But you told me I should write it anyway. So it turned out that the poem, I was comparing myself in a way to Esther Williams and how she, for those people who don't know who Esther Williams was, she was an actress who happened to also be a fantastic swimmer. And in most of her movies, that's what she did. She swam. And so I was sort of comparing myself to Esther Williams in the sense that Esther Williams was not uncomfortable in her own skin. She was not uncomfortable in a bathing suit. She was not uncomfortable being that mermaid type, but I was. And so that moment in time for me was really about self reflection. Why am I uncomfortable? And is it okay to tell people that I'm uncomfortable? And what does that really mean? And am I doing myself a disservice? Or does anybody else feel this way too? Or, why is it even a thing?
And
Why do we
what's
have to?
interesting about that, Lorraine, is that internal dialogue you were having
Mm.
resonated so powerfully with our audience. And it was something that many women identified with. And we asked you to repeat that poem again, I think twice, two more times on follow-up podcasts. So I'm so glad that I encouraged you to do it because obviously you were preaching to the choir with what you were sharing with them about those feelings. So how do
And
you look at that poem today and going back to the beach, so to speak?
well, it's interesting that you asked that. The original poem I think was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly. Um, and 6 or 7 years, however long it's been, has transpired, and I'm older now. I don't mind telling you I'm in my 70s now, and even though I don't feel it or I don't think I look it, I do feel, my perspective has changed, and I know that it has. And I say that because today, I don't think it's as important to me what other people think of me or what other people think when they look at me or when they see me. It's just not important anymore. And I don't know if that's a function of age or if it's a function of maturity. I'm not sure, or maybe neither one of those things. But I think at some point in life you realize that none of that really matters. The only thing that matters is how you feel about yourself. However, the difficult part of that is that sometimes how you feel about yourself, particularly I think for women, sometimes how you feel about yourself is a reflection of how other people see you. It shouldn't be, but often it is. I think once you reach 70, that's just not important anymore. Um, People are allowed, of course, to have their own opinions, and they're allowed to feel how they feel, and they're allowed to see me however they see me, but it doesn't matter to me that much anymore. So today, I'm not a beach person, I never have been, but today, if I was going to go to the beach, I wouldn't have a problem putting on a bathing suit.
I love that. I'm just curious, has your opinion about living with diabetes changed as well from that time too over the years? Do you think now that you're in your 70s, you might look at it in a different way, or has it been a constant?
I don't think my opinion about having diabetes has changed. I'm very fortunate, but I work hard at it too. That I that I haven't had any real complications. I don't know if I had, maybe that would be different, but I haven't had any real issues yet. I have to say yet. Um, so I don't think my opinion about it has changed. I do have, of course, you know this. I do have the Dexcom CGM thing system, I should say, and so that gives me a lot of peace of mind. It it takes a lot of the guesswork out of taking care of myself, and I do the same things I used to do. I've had diabetes. I think this is 44 years now for me, and I do the same things that I used to do. I make sure that I have my snacks with me. I make sure that I have my glucose tablets if I need them. I make sure that I'm always hydrated. I walk with my water bottle, especially now that the weather's getting warmer. Um, so I don't think I do anything differently, and I don't think I feel differently about it. And when I go to my endocrinologist, she always tells me I'm doing well. I'm still doing well. So the only thing I can say about that is I think if you're diligent, you have less of a risk of things changing or things changing rapidly. Um, so I credit partly I guess my constitution, but also the fact that I pay attention to what's going on with me and my health.
I love it. I'm glad to hear it. All right, so Lorraine, let's go back to the beach and hear what you wrote for this podcast.
So today you asked me to write a poem about summer skin. I mentioned to you before when we were talking that this was not an easy poem either for me to write, not for the same reason, but it was just not easy. I haven't written anything in a while, and I had to think about it differently. And because I feel differently about certain things, like how people see me or how I see myself, this is another one of those poems I think that's not necessarily a happy poem, but it's just maybe a just a the way it is poem, right? So I called it Summer Skin, and it goes like this. At year's end, amid the shortest days, holidays, foods, celebration, and fun, then comes the spring and the sun's slow return, signaling winter is over and done. Buds and sprouts among the weeds, chirping of birds waking up from their sleep, warmth and light beaming through branches and leaves, grass emerging from roots so deep. Winter skin languishes, covered in layers, fighting for warmth and protection from cold, seeking to flourish and nourish in private, hiding from temperatures vicious and bold. Then in the summer, our skin makes appearance, swimming suits, shorts, sandals, and more, outdoor activities, family parties, boating and sailing, and life at the shore. Our feet need protection, along with our eyes, as well as acknowledging sun's heavy rays. Hydration and water, fresh air and sun, enjoying the season in exciting ways. We want to enjoy the season with safety, showing our skin, but make sure we take care, doing our best to respect diabetes, and living our best life while staying aware.
I love it. All right, Lorraine, this is the first time you ever admitted it's been a challenge to write, and I still think I still praise you so much, but even more now, knowing that it was a challenge, because I always think you do it so effortlessly with
Thank
ease.
you.
So that was wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm glad you took the challenge for us one more time and picked up the.
Oh, you know, Max, whenever you challenge me, I will accept. It's always a good experience, even if I don't want to do it. You know, and sometimes the more I don't want to do it is, of course, the more I should do it, which is always a nice thing. I kind of feel like if someone asks me to do something that makes me uncomfortable, then I should really do it.
Isn't that the big lesson of life lately, is just making
Hmm.
yourself uncomfortable and getting rid of the negative talk in your head, and like you said, going back to the beach. If
Yeah.
that's it, then go back to the beach.
And that's the thing. The negative talk is in your head. It's not in anybody else's head. It's in your head, right? Nobody ever said anything to me about wearing a bathing suit. Nobody has ever said a word to me in my life about wearing a bathing suit. That was all in my head and all in my reality, which probably wasn't even reality. It was, but it was my reality for whatever reason.
I think that's what I love most about the Mermaid Parade and what they're doing at Coney Island, because to me, that parade is all about self-acceptance. I mean, it's for every shape and every body, and whatever definition of a mermaid you want to be, you're allowed to be it. And I think
Mm.
that, more than anything, besides the creativity and the those minds that somehow blend fashion with fantasy, I just think it's such a powerful vitamin for anyone who may feel insecure about their appearance in any way, shape, or form, or even insecure about their diagnosis, whether that's diabetes or something else, about being able to share it. Because like what you said in that poem is a lot about sharing and being open about that, so you can ask for help and you can get other opinions, or maybe even have immediate help if necessary.
Yeah, and just like the Beauty and the Beach poem, the original one about Esther Williams, as you just said, it resonated with so many people. And before I wrote it or while I was writing it, it never occurred to me that it would resonate with people. I thought it would be just the opposite. I thought people would, be turned off by it. And just the opposite happened, which goes to show you that we all kind of go through the same things. And it's so unnecessary, to look at the Mermaid Parade, look at the Gay Pride Parade, look at anything that people do that's a little outside the box. And these are just people who are being themselves and being proud of it, whatever that means.
Well, I hate to shock you with this, Lorraine, before you go, but I have to tell you, you wrote that poem over 11 years ago. I looked it up while we were talking, and that was
Wow.
2013. So we're going to have to publish Summer Skin and Beauty and the Beach side by side on the blog, so everyone could see both of them and
Wow.
celebrate summer with us again. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's always
Thank you, Max.
Divabetic. It's all about attitude.